New Jersey Art and Oddities exhibitions, the flea market of all sorts of weird artifacts and activities, and in it, one of its largest attractions, taxidermies.
We work with reptile breeders, farmers, occasional roadkill, depending on the condition that it comes in on. We also do pet memorials for people.
So I am a buyer and seller, a trader of all sorts of oddities, really specializing in skulls, bones, and taxidermy.
Taxidermy is a fascinating craft that extends its utility from art to education. But it often finds itself amid controversies. So, is taxidermy a respectful art form that honors the animals?
Yeah, that's definitely part of the practice. It's about honoring the animals, not about exploiting them.
Or is it a sadistic practice of cruelty to flaunt the dominating power of the human race?
Ethically, it's problematic, taxidermy, in the cases where these were wild animals, regardless of how they were killed.
Let's find out. To understand this art form better, let's turn our attention to Nick Del Castillo, a taxidermy artist that makes his own art in his little apartment in East Harlem.
My name is Nick. I'm a taxidermist. I live in NYC, and I've been doing art with animals my whole life, and it's been like a very big part of my life to be drawing and making art with animals in it. And in 2019, I decided to take that step and just start experimenting with taxidermy, and now it's become like kind of my whole life. I've loved animals since I was a little kid. I was never interested in dolls or other toys. Everything in my life has had to be connected to animals. It's just a beautiful way of honoring a creature's life when you take so much time to make them look the way they appeared in real life, or even give them a new identity and a new personality. People think that you can't do this and love animals, but actually I think it's like the biggest show of love to a creature, to spend so much time studying them and learning from them and making them look as beautiful as they were in real life. I think it's like a love for animals that even drives anyone to do taxidermy.
Nick created The Warmest Feelings, a taxidermy series that won the Best in Show award at the 2024 Wunderkammer Taxidermy Competition. However, this gorgeous white fox also reveals the deep secrets between his art and his past.
It's a really personal piece, part of a series about my addiction, my struggle with addiction it was like basically a whole year in 2023. The fox, it has this like alluring appearance. It has this like beautiful appearance of like sparkles and like glamour, and it's like beautiful and you want to be close to it, like you're drawn into it. It's like this alluring creature. The tail, I imagine it being like a fur coat that you wrap around yourself, so it's like you're wrapping yourself up in this warm coat and you're like in this warmth and comfort, but you don't notice that it's like slowly squeezing the life out of you, and it's like the tail's like wrapping around you, and like the deeper and deeper you go into it, you're like closer and closer to death, and you don't even notice it.
How long have you been clean for? How long have you been clean for?
I will be 1 year in January.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
That's very impressive.
Thank you so much.
However, being a taxidermist is not always about love and appreciation.
Anytime, if you're a taxidermy artist and you're posting your work on social media at all, you are receiving a lot of backlash, you're receiving a lot of criticism.
People don't usually have the best reaction when they see others operating on dead animals, and the comments that taxidermists receive are usually mixed with insults and name-calling.
Yeah, so the process actually is one of the things that people have misconceptions about, and I think if they understood the process more, then they'd be able to really understand why it's not the way it is. But you basically start out by skinning it, removing the skin, so it's not a gross, I mean it can be gross, but it's really not a disgusting, like barbaric process. One of the things that can happen in taxidermy is if the bacteria gets to the skin too fast and you don't like prepare it properly, the skin will just slip off. When you finish removing the skin, you have to flesh and remove all the fat, all of it. And you have to scrape every bit of meat off of it, get the skin super, super thin, and then you even, after doing all of that, you have to go in and prepare the face. From that, you have to tan the skin, so you put it in a solution of chemicals. It lasts a couple weeks. You pickle the skin, then you put it in a tanning solution, then you degrease everything, and it's like the greaser before, the tanning solution, and you turn the skin into like leather.
Of course, there are also people who don't believe the ethics behind taxidermy. Let's hear from Adita, someone who has dedicated her entire life into protecting animal rights.
My name's Adita Bernkrant. I'm the executive director of NYCLASS, which stands for New Yorkers for Clean, Livable, and Safe Streets. And we are a nonprofit organization based in New York. We work on a lot of local, but also state issues, and also some federal issues, ending animal abuse and protecting urban wildlife in New York State. From an animal rights vegan perspective, you would have to ask if what is being done to that animal, would you be okay if, let's say, a race of aliens landed on Earth and had total control and were more powerful than us, and they decided that they wanted to essentially enslave human beings, and they decided, you know what, I like your hairdo, I like the way you look, so I'm gonna kill you and stuff you and put you in my entryway. Would you be okay with that? And of course the answer would be no. So if you view the world that only humans matter and we can do whatever we want, but I do believe that we should give moral consideration to all animals, and we have a duty to do that.
One of the biggest questions regarding taxidermy is also where the animals are sourced. Are they hunted down? Are they roadkills? Are they from zoos or laboratories? Divya Anna, an award-winning licensed taxidermist with clients ranging from museums, designers, gallerists, and collectors. Mainly working on birds and small mammals, Divya has made quite a name for herself at teaching and making art.
I work with mostly with museums who have salvage permits, so they'll find, if they're able to salvage things like roadkill or, collision victims or anything like that. Other taxidermists will work with hunters, people who hunt animals. There are also taxidermists who work with farmers and find domestically raised animals, which is part of what I do as well, with a lot of domestically raised birds and things like that. So it's a number of different ways.
Awesome.
And usually every person has their own preferences.
I see.
In sourcing and stuff.
Of course, being an art form that works with real animals, taxidermy is constantly under the sanction of laws and regulations. This is the Evolution store in Manhattan, one of the largest stores in New York that sells taxidermies, fossils, minerals, and other collectibles.
My name is Miranda. I am the current manager and COO of the Evolution store. There are lots of laws around taxidermy and also around fossils, around insects as well. So we just have to be aware, we have our Fish and Wildlife license to be able to sell things. We also are a part of the American Association of Paleontology. So that's for the personal sale of fossils and other excavated things. One thing, for example, we can't sell mammoth teeth. So we have a mammoth foot, a real mammoth foot fossil that we can sell in the city of New York, but not anything that's considered ivory in the state of New York is allowed to be sold.
The one that I work with the most would probably be the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, but there's also other laws like Endangered Species Act, the Lacey Act. There's a bunch of them. It just depends on where you are and what you work with. I see this as an act of appreciation and an act of loving animals and an act of wanting to memorialize them. And I think that is what really gets lost. I think a lot of people think of this as some kind of brutish or barbaric art form, but it's not that. It's something that's deeply rooted in love and appreciation.
I think it's a symptom of a much larger problem where humans are destructive and just feel entitled and emboldened to just be very violent and destructive to other species and feel completely entitled to even display their dead bodies as art.
To anyone who wants to learn more about taxidermy and is curious about it, definitely feed into that curiosity and learn more about it, because there's so much to be learned in this topic. I just feel that there's a thing for everyone. Feed into that curiosity, learn more about taxidermy, and just talk to anyone who has information on this.
Absolutely. All right, thank you very much.